Okay, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. The Board of Zoning Appeals is now in session for its regularly scheduled meeting of March 3rd, 2022. I'm Joey Hargis, Metro Zoning Administrator, and I'll be presenting the cases for review today in the public hearing. At this time, I would ask everyone please silence or turn off their cell phones or put them on vibrate so as not to interrupt today's proceedings. The board would appreciate that. The procedure will be to introduce the case record. We'll present any site plans, photographs taken, as well as any letters we've received in support or opposition to the case. I'll do that on the wall here by means of a PowerPoint presentation. At the conclusion of my presentation, the applicants will come first for the cases along with any persons in support. And if there's opposition to a case, the board will then hear from those parties opposed to a case after the applicant has given their testimony. After the opposition has spoken, the applicant will have a period for rebuttal. The board in their rules provides that the applicants in cases without opposition have 5 minutes to present their case to the board. And I'll keep the time here at the desk on my iPhone here, and I'll let you know when you've got 3 minutes left and 1 minute remaining. In cases with opposition, each side of a case has 10 minutes to present their testimony. Again, that's 10 minutes for the entire side, not per speaker. So if there are multiple speakers, please divide your time accordingly before coming up to address the board. If you do like to address the board, if you'll come forward at the table here directly in front of you are 4 seats. Have a seat. There will be a little button just to the right of the microphone stand. Press that button 1 time, identify yourself and make your presentation, and then press the button again once you're done speaking. All section numbers that are referred to today come directly from the Metropolitan Zoning Code, which was initially adopted by the council and became effective January 1st, 1998, and applies to the entire jurisdiction of Metro government. I'll introduce and make a part of the record the entire zoning code, and I'll dispense from reading individual sections unless the applicant or opposition requests that I read them. The zoning code requires that these proceedings be taped. Therefore, it's imperative anyone wishing to address this board to come, as I talked about before, come forward, have a seat at the table, identify yourself, and make your presentation. The board will go through all cases set for public hearing today, and after each case, the board will discuss and vote on that case. The board is vested with the powers to act on these cases as outlined in Section 1740-180 of the Metro Code. The code requires that 4 members of this 7-member board be present to constitute a quorum. Code requires 4 affirmative votes to grant your application. Today I have 6 members present, so you need 4 affirmative votes of these 6 to have your case granted. In the event that only 4 members participate in a case and you don't have 4 affirmative votes, the case will be re-advertised and reset for the next available public hearing cycle. In the event that 5 or more members are present and there's a failure to achieve 4 affirmative votes, your case will stay on our agenda for the next 30 days. Applications that fail to receive 4 affirmative votes within 30 days of this public hearing shall be denied by operation of law. The applicant or any aggrieved property owner may request a rehearing within 60 days of this public hearing. And further, the applicant or any aggrieved property owner may appeal this board's decision to Chancery or Circuit Court within the same 60-day period. But once that 60 days has elapsed, this board's decision is final. If you're an applicant and your case is granted, it is necessary for you to continue and obtain the permit for which you've applied. You've got 2 years from today's date to pick up such permit for this board's approval to remain valid. Mr. Chairman, I submit that all cases were filed in proper order. All appellants were notified by certified mail as required by the code. All affected property owners have been notified by first-class mail. And before we begin, I've got a couple preliminary announcements for cases on today's agenda. If on our agenda today, case 2022-12, Highland Park Church, 5710 Knob Road, that case has been withdrawn by the applicant. The applicant did indicate they will refile at a future date, so this board may see that case again. The next case for preliminary information is case 2022-26, Key Quinn Dot Holdings LLC, 2600 and 2602 Pennington Avenue. They were requesting a variance from the sidewalk requirements. They have requested a deferral to the March 17th meeting. That is our next meeting. So if you're here for case 26, that'll be heard 2 weeks from today. in this room beginning at 1 p.m. And then finally, on preliminary announcements, case 2022-31, the last case on our agenda, that case has been withdrawn by staff. That will be going before the Historic Zoning Commission. So those are our preliminary announcements here. But before we get into the consent agenda or the hearings before us today, the zoning code, the Board of Zoning Appeals does allow elected officials to address this board, should they wish to. Do we have any elected officials present? And if present, do they wish to address the board? For me, I do see one. Any other council members? None. All right. Thank you, Councilman, for coming. He does not wish to address the board, so I will move on to the consent agenda. The BZA does have a consent agenda, and prior to the meeting today, the board member reviews the cases, and if in their opinion the applicant meets the criteria for the application they've requested and feel that testimony would not alter material facts, they recommend the case for the remainder of the board. I'll now enter into the record those cases recommended by Vice Chairman Ross Pepper, and if there's anyone here opposed to a case, if you'll raise your hand, please, the case will be removed from consent and heard in its regular order. The first case recommended for the consent agenda, case 2022-24, Glen Rose Business Center, 2150 and 2152 Dayton Avenue, requesting a variance in the glazing requirements in the mixed-use limited district. Are there any parties here opposed to case 24? Mr. Chairman, I'm seeing none. That case has been recommended for consent. The second case that was recommended for consent, Mr. Chairman, for today's meeting, I was approached. There is opposition present to case 27, so we'll hear that case in its regular order. So today's consent agenda is currently case number 24. We do have a motion on the table from Mr. Chairman, and is there a second? Okay, we have a motion.
It's been moved and seconded those items be placed on the consent agenda. All in favor? Any opposed? That motion passes.
All right, if you're here for case 24, your case has been approved. You are free to go.
Mr. Chairman, go ahead.
On our docket, it shows case 28 being deferred till 3/17. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Okay.
Chairman, we will call the first case. The first case today is case 2020-118. This is Outfront Media, LLC, PSC Metals Incorporated, owner of the property at 610 South 2nd Street. They had requested an Item A appeal challenging my decision to revoke the building permit 2019-74327 in the IG Zone District. The appellant has seeking permit issuance for the billboard, referred to the board under section 1732-150. The appellant has alleged has jurisdiction under section 1740-180, item A. So recap for the board members, this case was originally heard at the January public hearing, actually we had a tie vote, and at the last meeting, the 17th, heard on February 3rd with a tie vote. At the 17th agenda, this case was heard, being tied up on votes. Vice Chairman Pepper, you changed your vote to vote for the motion to against the motion. So the motion was to uphold the zoning administrator on a vote of 2-4 against. So that motion has failed. We had received a letter from the Sports Authority. I believe you've been given a copy. Members, the applicant's been given a copy of that, and the board opened the public hearing to allow the Sports Authority to address this board should they wish to allow the applicant to rebut testimony provided by the Sports Authority. So in that's where we stand here. So before we get into the details of the case, one minor thing, Chairman Taylor did participate in the last case. His term is ended. He is no longer a member of this board, and because the motion failed, his absence thereof really has no effect. So we're at 5 members who participated. So my next question would be for Member Cole. Mr. Cole, have you watched the proceedings up to this point? And if you have or have not, if you don't mind on the record, state that you have or haven't. And if you have not, then obviously you will not participate in this portion. But
I have not, and I will not participate.
okay. So let the record reflect that Joseph Cole is not participating in this case. And sir, you're welcome to stay where you're at. You don't have to leave the room or anything. So with that, we have 5 members eligible to participate in this case. So in this, we'll open the public hearing portion. Item A appeals generally start with the zoning administrator. So I'll go ahead and dispense with my portion. I have read the email from the Sports Authority. I don't weigh in on their opinion one way or the other. I still believe the permit should be revoked. And based on my testimony from last time, I don't change my position in that. With that, that'll sort of wrap up my position. So that would be my 10-minute speech, unless you guys have questions for me during this time.
Any questions of Mr. Hargis?
Okay, no question.
We'll let the Sports Authority go for 10 minutes, and then the applicant rebut the.
That's correct. Yes, sir. So with that, I'll turn over, if any parties from the Sports Authority are present who wish to address this board, to come forward. I see none, Mr. Chairman. I believe their email is going to be their testimony to this board.
Okay, so nobody from the Sports Authority is here?
That's correct, sir.
Okay, Mr. Henry, then you have the floor for 10 minutes.
Right. Yeah. And I will caution Mr. Henry and his client, this is not new testimony in the board. It is only to cover the items addressed by the Sports Authority. So if you don't mind, if you be sure to stick to the rebuttal of the Sports Authority's testimony, or mine. I made no testimony at this hearing. So
I have a question before they start. I was a lot of information in our packet, and I wasn't able to find that letter from the Sports Authority. Could you point it out to us?
bear with me 1 second. I'll get that. Yeah, I will turn over to Elizabeth Waits now, the Sports Authority. She has this letter, and I'll also display it here on the screen in just a moment for your. But Elizabeth, I'll go ahead and turn it over to you.
Okay. This letter is dated February 16th, 2022. It's to Mr. Joey Hargis, Zoning Administrator. Dear Mr. Hargis, as Executive Director of the Metro Nashville Sports Authority, owner of Nissan Stadium and the surrounding acres referred to as the, quote, stadium site, in the lease agreement by and between the Sports Authority and Cumberland Stadium Incorporated, I write to express my concern regarding sign permit 2019074327 and the digital billboard located at 610 South 2nd Street. We anticipate and look forward to the redevelopment of the site as part of the larger redevelopment of the East Bank, and I am concerned that the billboard is inconsistent with the vision for this area. I understand that the Metro Planning Department has expressed its opposition to the appeal, noting that the permit was issued in error. It is my hope that a decision will be made that provides flexibility and freedom to develop this property with the intention and thoughtfulness befitting Nissan Stadium, the East Bank, and what is sure to become one of Nashville's great neighborhoods. Respectfully, Monica Faulknutson, Executive Director, Metro Nashville Sports Authority.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I have the letter up in front of you as well. I apologize that you didn't have that in paper in front of you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the Board of Zoning Appeals. Sean Henry, 500 11th Avenue North, Russell Burdett, next to me, Real Estate Director for Outfront Media. I guess I'd also want to be sure that you've got my client's response to this letter in your records. Okay, thank you. And it may be helpful, Mr. Hargis, if we could pull up some of those photos here in just a second. Without Mr. Cole, I probably need not go through the recitation or summary of all the evidence that we've submitted to you all, and I won't do that. But just as a reminder, we submitted this big giant packet, which contains virtually all of the evidence that we've ever filed. And this is trip number 5 before you. I don't know if you're keeping count. I know Mr. Newton was not here for the original hearing, but we've been here now a 5th time. Importantly, we had previously submitted a list of experts. There were 3 experts, registered land surveyors, 2 professional licensed engineers here in the state of Tennessee. At the last hearing, we had Ken Church, a registered land surveyor. All 4 of those experts conclude the same thing, which is this particular lot has frontage on Korean Veterans Boulevard. In order to know what frontage means, you need to necessarily look at the definition of frontage in the zoning code. The word frontage is defined as meaning a lot that abuts, and then the word abuts is defined. The word abuts is touches or shares a common point or line. So does the lot abut a public street? Does this lot share a line with the Korean Veterans Boulevard street? And of course, we had previously submitted to you at the last hearing a decision tree that looks like this. And we also had a couple of big boards and some smaller versions of those boards, but you may recall seeing this evidence, which shows the property lines, the parcel lines, and there's a common line. There's only one line, not 2. There's one property line that separates Korean Veterans Boulevard Street from this lot in question. So we would submit, again, that this lot shares that line in common with the public street, which is Korean Veterans Boulevard. The Sports Authority cites to the Planning Department's letter, and frankly, both of those letters are irrelevant to the question that I just posed. Neither of those letters reference the zoning code. Neither of those letters dive into the definition of what a frontage is, what a billboard is, et cetera, et cetera. They do make reference to signage. And so my client responded to the Sports Authority letter by informing them of maybe some information will give them the benefit of the doubt. Certainly the executive director may not have known about how this particular billboard was being used by their tenants, sports entities, to advertise their sporting events. And in addition to that, and Mr. Burdett can certainly share a lot more with that, but the evidence in that letter demonstrates that not only are sports events and sports franchises here in Nashville, like our soccer league, soccer club, and the Titans and the Predators being advertised, but also public service announcements during COVID. There's evidence of that in there. There's evidence of nonprofits benefiting from the use of this sign, and a local business is referenced in there as well with a photograph of that. And we also attached the plans that the Titans have put forth as part of their either a remodel of the existing stadium. We've heard one report, and another report is a complete reconstruction of that stadium, a complete rebuild. Either way, what they're planning to do, according to their most recent information, is to have a gigantic video board that faces Korean Veterans Boulevard. I mean, if you've been to a Titans game, you know what they do on their video boards. And what we've submitted to you is evidence, and this is the tenet of the Sports Authority. So we think it's very relevant that the landlord is claiming to you that this sign is inappropriate, yet their tenant is not only proposing a massive sign, way much bigger than what the sign we're talking about, but they're doing that in the spirit of promoting sports. And so we think it's basically out of order, and that evidence, that letter should really be readily dismissed. Related to that, what I've submitted to you today is something that Mr. Burdette has prepared regarding the East Bank and the fact that there are an existing 20 billboard signs within the footprint of the East Bank. If you take a look at what...
Is that where the yellow pins are?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes, sir. So 20 billboards, 19 other billboards. This billboard that we're talking about is billboard number 20. Just like these pins demonstrate, they are plotted up and down the East Bank. And for whatever reason, this particular billboard is being picked on, being treated unfairly, it's being discriminated against. Certainly my client is. It's not fair, and we don't understand why. But the Sports Authority and the Planning Department have suggested that there's a major redo of the East Bank. It's underway. It's in the planning stages. But that didn't start until a year after this sign was already built and made operational. You know, it's talk about Monday morning quarterback, saying that here we are on Monday morning, and oh, by the way, we should have done something different back then because we were going to do something different in the future that is not yet solidified in the plans. These plans are just now beginning. And so what we've done is attached also to that is a photograph that shows the relative proximity of that existing 20th billboard, the billboard in question, sitting next to the KVB bridge on that lot, which shares a common line with KVB right-of-way, the Nissan advertisement that's on the back of the billboard. And, you know, that sign's hard to pick out, in my opinion. That sign is hard to pick out of all that's in the background there. So for there to be a suggestion that this sign is somehow totally out of sync with the East Bank, totally out of sync with what they intend regarding mobility, regarding messaging that could be on this billboard, regarding traffic circulation. I mean, there's an opportunity with these billboards, and it's been taken on a few instances, to use these for public direction wayfinding so that people can learn whether or not the ramp at Shelby and I-24 is closed. Go the opposite direction. I mean, there's a way to use these things. In fact, on the other side of the bridge, which is just to the left and just cut off from this photo, NDOT, formerly when Metro Public Works was Metro Public Works, they installed a sign in the middle of the right-of-way there. There is a digital sign in the middle of the public right-of-way on the downtown side of this bridge that moves in violation of our zoning code. It'll have a flag on the American flag will move, and they use that for public announcement, public wayfinding, public warnings, however they want to use it.
Mr. Chairman, you've got 3 minutes left, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, sorry, thank you. I wondered where the clock was. So finally, attached to that is just something that's fresh, along with these letters that you've received. February 22, press release from NDOT regarding the Walk and Bike 2022 plan. I just simply grabbed page 27. It talks about the East Bank Planning Study, Phase 1, completion scheduled for 2022. The project addresses circulation and mobility throughout the area and may result in changes to the major and collector street plan. What's that got to do with this billboard? Absolutely nothing. And so reference to the East Bank study seems to be out of place here. Finally, I know I've cited case law and et cetera for you, on paper, but I found a 2017 Virginia Supreme Court case that looked at this same situation. A building permit was issued to a property owner, and it was issued in error, and the property owner built their building. It was a garage. The permit was revoked. This goes all the way to the Virginia Supreme Court. Virginia has a Vested Property Rights Act, much like Tennessee has now. And what the Supreme Court in Virginia said, look, the vested rights statute that we have is a remedial statute. It provides a remedy for when a permit is issued and then revoked. If the property owner relies upon that permit, they're free to continue, even if it's issued in an error, in which that case, the zoning administrator clearly made a mistake. We submit there was no mistake made here, number one. And finally, I would just remind you, I know there's been, a lot of political suggestions of influence here, but I just want to remind you that under your rules, ex parte contact under Rule 6 regarding conflicts of interest, it should be the policy of this board that no member shall discuss the merits of any pending case with any person having any interest in the case prior to the public hearing. Now, I only mention that because there's been some rumors, but similar to the case I just referenced, the remedy for any ex parte contact, if that's occurred, is a simple disclosure at the public hearing, make the announcement, and we move on. So with that, I'm finished. Mr. Burdette can answer any questions. I'm free to answer any questions. Appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you. And discuss, and as I understand it, Mr. Cole is ineligible to vote. Okay.
That's correct, sir.
Okay. Thoughts? I've spoken on both sides of this issue, so I've spoken my piece about it. I think everybody knows kind of where I am, and so.
I mean, I think that in the original, I can't remember how I voted originally, but it was so long ago. But in the most recent one, I voted against the motion that was to uphold the zoning administrator, because, I mean, as much as I don't like the billboard being there, I wish we'd get rid of all 20 of these billboards in East Bank. Is that I do see it, I guess, as abutting or having frontage on it, just like many of these others do. Like I said, I don't like it. I think it's ugly. I think it's inconsistent with the plan. I agree with everything the planning said about how it's wrong for that site. I agree with that, but it's. But I don't see, and I'm not a lawyer, so I need some lawyers to input their thoughts on this as to how I guess, how it, with Mr. Henry mentioned vested, it's there, it's been built, it's operational for 2 years now or whatever, however long that's been. And how you guys see, in this case, the idea of frontage versus abutting. So maybe he's the one. Maybe he's the one to ask them.
I think the lawyers.
And in full disclosure, I won't participate in this vote because after our vote last time, I did inadvertently and mistakenly have an ex parte conversation. So I'm not going to vote this time. But it was after the first vote. The first vote, no, but I didn't talk to anybody.
Yeah, sorry about that, Liz.
I was going to say that I didn't find anything new from the testimony today. That's all. It was, I really do sympathize with the case, but there was nothing that I think changed my mind today.
Mr. Lawless, any? You're
Still staying
still
where I did last time, so.
okay. Well, it's with four of us, and it seems to me it's a foregone conclusion. So I will make a motion, and then we can second it and open up for discussion again. I'll make a motion that the zoning administrator erred.
I'll second that.
Okay, so there's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay.
Actually,
Okay.
I don't remember how we all voted. Actually, now I'm thinking, which way did I vote? Because it is a complicated case. Do we?
You voted to
Uphold.
No, I don't think so. Ms. Carpenter voted
Yeah.
not to uphold the
Not to
zoning.
uphold.
You're right. So that's the motion that's before. That's the motion that's been on the floor and has been seconded now.
Okay. I'm sorry, I didn't recall that at all. So I should vote with you all.
Okay, so are you ready to vote, or do you want to? Okay. All in favor of that motion signify by saying aye. Aye. So that's 3. All opposed? Okay, 1 opposed. So it needs 4 votes to pass, so.
Yes, sir. So under your rules, Mr. Chairman, with 4 members participating, a vote of 3 to 1, this case will be reset for a new public hearing on the next available cycle. Under your rules, I'll get with the applicant to set the date and time. It'll be where we are in our cycle. New notices, this case will be anew. So a reminder to the members of this board and everyone who's participated, the next case is a brand-new hearing. So in that hearing, I remind all parties, at the March 3rd hearing, I said irrelevant. It's a de novo hearing. It's from scratch. So we'll get those notices out and get this hearing set for a new matter at the next available agenda. I apologize, I don't have that date in front of me. It's likely the second meeting in April.
Second meeting in April?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Is where we should be, or the first meeting in May, but I will get those involved to all parties.
May I offer a question that's in the form of a point of order? We understand you've got a vacant seat. Mr. Cole's not yet listened to the record. It would make sense to get as many people voting as possible if more time is necessary to have that empty seat appointed and confirmed by the Metro Council. Maybe Mr. Cole would then have some more time to review the record.
Mr. Henry, let me stop you there. There's nothing for Mr. Cole to review. This case is over. So the testimony previous is.
We start over.
So
if he's here, it will start
over.
over. So I think I don't know about it automatically is set for 30 days out, correct, Mr. Hart?
It's under the rules. It's as though Mr. Henry walked into our office and filed the appeal again. So
Okay.
wherever we are in our cycle, we'll set it for that next available agenda.
Okay.
But I believe it's the second meeting of April, but I'll get that to you. We'll be in touch.
That works. Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
All right. With that, the vote in this case votes 3 to overturn zoning administrator 1. This motion fails for failure of 4 votes, and under the rules will be reset for a new public hearing. Okay, Mr. Chairman, the next case on our agenda, case 2022-19, Suburban Cowboys LLC, owner and of the properties at 3982 and 3978 Taylor Road, requesting an IMA appeal challenging the zoning administrator's interpretation regarding duplex eligibility in R6. Are the applicants present? Mr. Chairman, seeing none, under your rules, I believe this case will be dismissed for failure to prosecute the case.
Right.
And I'll enter an appropriate order to do so.
Okay. Has Mr. Bain called? I think he's handling. Has he called and said he's running late or anything like that?
I have not seen that. Let me before I dispense with that, let's heal this case. We'll go on to the next one. I'll check emails and text messages and see where we stand. So with that, the next case in front of this board is case 2022-27. Mr. Joshua McDonald is the appellant, RJX Partners, LLC, the owner of the properties located at 3910 Heights Ferry Pike, requesting a variance from street setback requirements in RS-15 to allow the construction of a single-family residence referred to the board under Section 1712030. The appellant has alleged jurisdiction under Section 1740-180, Item B. Is the applicant present for this case? All right, sir, if you'll come forward, come on up to the table. I'll do our presentation first, and then after I'm done, I'll turn it over to you, and you'll have 10 minutes to present. And we do have opposition present who'd wish to speak. Are you opposed to the case, miss?
Well, I have some questions I would like to ask.
Okay, okay, yeah, we'll yes, ma'am. We'll treat as opposition and handle that accordingly. So after Mr. McDonald has spoke, I will bring you forth, and you'll have 10 minutes to present your case to the board too. Mr. McDonald, let me go through the case for the board. And the subject property is located here at the terminus or the intersection of Hydes Ferry Pike and Ashland City Highway. It is in the RS-15 zone district. The subject lot is located here in red, which you see, and I'll turn on my pointer for you. That's this parcel here. It is in the RS-15 zone district, and an aerial photograph of the subject property. The current lot is currently a wooded lot at this intersection of Ashland City Highway to the north and Hydes Ferry Pike here. The site plan submitted by the applicant shows the proposed building location. That building, I believe, is going to front Hydes Ferry Pike. Is that correct, sir? Okay. The area on the applicant site plan, this triangular area here would be the setbacks required from both streets and be the area in which he'd have to build in order to comply. He's requesting a street setback variance down to 30 feet off of Hydes Ferry Pike. That is this line where my cursor is, to allow the construction of this residence. And he has required 102.6 based off the contextual street average of these homes facing Hydes Ferry Pike to the south. These are looking toward the subject property. The subject property is located in this wooded area here. This is the existing residence to the east. A view of the subject site located in the bottom right-hand corner, and a view of the houses along Hydes Ferry Pike to give you an idea for context of street frontage there. So I'll leave this here, sir. I'll turn it over to you, and if you would identify yourself and make your presentation to the board along with your hardships, and you'll have 10 minutes to present your case, and you'll also have a period to rebut any testimony that you may have heard after the opposition speaks. So I'll turn it over to you now, sir.
All right, cool. Hi, guys.
Can you hit your microphone? Do the thing that I've not been doing the whole meeting, which is turn it on and it'll turn red.
Now it's on.
Yeah. And if you can state your name, please.
Sure. My name is Joshua McDonald. I live kind of around the corner from here off of County Hospital Road. And this is a property that I currently own. And it's interesting that this property was cut in half by Ashland City Highway a very long time ago, which is the reason why it is weirdly shaped. But given given zoning and given it's a single-family lot, it is buildable. And so when I learned that, I went and worked with a surveyor and builder to put together a site plan, and then we found out about contextual. And because in my mind, I was like, well, if you look at it, the house is still kind of going to be in line with the houses that are currently on the street. But it's just because of the way, the setbacks are. It's like, well, you need so many feet. And it's basically, that makes it unbuildable. So they were told me I have to go through a BZA. And I was like, well, how does that work? And here I am today. So it's basically just a request to reduce the setback, I believe, to the 30-foot level, is which I originally read in the code and what I thought was going to be applicable at the very beginning. And the goal was just to build a single-family house. It's going to be about 2,200 square feet, 2 stories, really nice side-load garage, and I think it'll be a really nice addition to the area. There's a good bit of new construction going on in the Bordeaux area at large. There isn't a whole lot of new construction in that particular pocket for the most part. And I've gone through community meetings before for an actual zoning thing. And the one thing I've learned from the community members out there is that they're mainly concerned about quality. So they want high quality housing. And that is mainly the big thing that is on their minds. So the house plans, which I'm not sure if you guys got a copy of those or if that's even relevant, but the house plans are basically really neat, kind of like modern farmhouse style and a mix of brick and hardy siding, which I think would go over well with the community. And I do have bigger plans for maybe bigger things eventually down the road. So it's really important to me to do a good job, set a good tone and good pace for the area, and kind of show people, hey, what's really possible in an area that many people might have neglected for so long, or might think of as lesser, or you can't have nicer housing there. You should do just cheaper, very small little things, and build them as quick as you can and get out as fast as you can. And I'm not of that opinion. So that's basically my request here. I'm not really certain. I guess, are you going to ask me questions, or how does it?
I have a question for you.
Sure.
So on your site plan, it shows the setback at 36 feet to the house. Yeah. Would you have any issue with us setting it at 36 feet rather than, or yeah, 36.1? But
I mean, okay, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, rather than 30 feet, just to. I know there's maybe some concern about keeping it in line with the other houses around there. So do you have any issue with that?
I would say off the bat, no, but I don't know if there's anything I'm not thinking about.
Okay.
So I know this was done. We got the surveyor to do it, and I mean that checks out. I don't see why that would be an issue, but I don't know. That's the
Okay.
real, I wish I had, like, if my contract was able to, like,
Yeah.
be it and,
Yeah, I got you.
does that make sense?
Yeah, sure, that makes
Okay.
sense. But based on what you're, showing, what you've submitted, it shows it at 36 feet, what you're trying to build. So that is what you're trying to build
Yeah, that's
generally.
exactly what I'm trying to build, yeah.
Okay, that answers my question. Thank you.
I have a question for you. Will that keep it in line with the rest of the street?
We don't have the other ones on the street.
Well, I guess you can kind of look at it a little bit. So, because it's kind of like curvilinear, if you can, it kind of will be. So, like you see where that house is there currently. The box is going to be, like,
So generally, so what you're saying is that because of the curve of the street, it'll be in line just as the street curves up.
bingo.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got you. Okay. Based on his testimony, I mean, I don't have the measurements to check that, but based on his testimony, then it would.
Right, and just kind of like looking, if you could like draw, if you could draw like a little box just on the red map, like kind of like mirror it over.
Right.
You could kind of see it more clearly that, it is still pretty much in line because just how it like is positioned.
No, I understand.
I think it'll be further back from the
Right, just
street.
generally looking at it, looks like it's further back from the street. I can't say that for sure, though, without knowing all the
No, that was
stuff.
my only
Yeah.
concern, because like I do think, given how it's shaped, and I've been over that intersection a few times. It's a weird kind of intersection and how it goes, and so I do think it's an odd shaped lot. I think a variance is warranted. I just wanted the variance to be narrowly tailored to make sure it doesn't kind of impact that intersection and
right.
the people who are up to the left.
Sure.
So, but that was
Yeah.
it.
Okay.
Any further questions? Okay, thank you, sir. We're going to hear from the
All right, thank you.
opposition. Okay. And I think you've got some time left if you want to say anything after the
Okay,
next
cool.
speaker talks.
Do you want me to turn? I'll just leave it on for you.
Hello, how's everybody?
Hello.
Doing well.
Okay, my name is Dolores Donegan. I live at 1631 Emerald Drive. I do have a concern because that fork in the road, if you move that house back, set it back, how close will it be on Ashland City Highway?
It appears that they are meeting, they're not asking for any reductions on Ashland City Highway side. It's just on the Hydes Ferry Pike side. That's the only side that they're asking for a reduction in the setback on. So they would, and Mr. Hargis can tell me if I'm wrong here, but it looks like they are so on the Ashland City Highway side, they're legally allowed to do what they're doing right there. They're just asking for it on the Hydes Ferry, on the front side. Is the only thing they're looking at.
Okay,
Here.
so he would have enough room there without any problems with cars going around the curve?
On the Ashland City Highway side, yes. He's not asking for any.
What about on John Millette?
On John Millette.
Well,
Okay.
it kind of gets confusing.
I see. It's Hydes Ferry and then turns into John Millette. I'm looking at the map here. Yeah, so on that side, he's asking to move it a little bit closer to the road so you can actually build a house, but it's still going to be further back based on his testimony from where these other houses along that street are. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's just that, I have lived where that curve is right there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a curve you have to really watch.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be concerned about it. And then I have a concern about the trees there sort of controls the water.
Uh-huh.
Because when it rains, all the water washes down in that little circle,
Okay.
that little low level.
Uh-huh.
So
Yeah.
that's my concern,
Okay.
is that when you have people coming from John Millette trying to turn and go up,
Mm-hmm.
will there be enough room that they can see?
I haven't experienced it myself, but
There will be 20 feet. So if I'm on Hydes Ferry and John Millette and I come up to Ashland City to make a left or a right, I've got 20 feet off the shoulder of the road until you reach the back of that house, the new house. So there's
20 feet off the right-of-way, is that right?
right
Or-
off the
Which
right
is-
of way, which may be 30 off the pavement, but there'll be at least 20 feet off the property line, off of Ashland City Highway.
Well, that's my concern, you know, when you start to
Sure.
getting right there at the fork of the road
Mhm.
and trying to turn and get on Ashland City Highway to your right.
Yeah. Well, again, the only thing he's asking for is on the John Millette side. He's on the Ashland City Highway side. What he's proposing to do, he can do by right, like with the current rules that, you know, without a variance, he can do what he's doing on that side by right. He's only asking for the variance on the John Millette side, on the front side. Yeah, where the little sign is, yeah.
Okay.
Does that make
Those are my
sense?
questions.
Yeah, and Mr. Hargis can speak better to this probably than I can, but in terms of stormwater, I mean, he will be required to do some things to keep water from pooling on the site and to take care of that, so.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
But that's a separate matter from what we're looking at here.
I thought so.
Before he can have a building
Before he
permit,
can have a building
he'll have
permit.
to have stormwater
Yeah.
approval before he
Yeah.
can get a building permit.
Yeah,
Okay,
So they'll look at that independently.
okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
thank you.
Thank you.
Members, we had received an email from Councilmember Toombs, and Liz was going to read that into the record for you. It came in after we had printed.
Yes, this email was received today from Councilmember Toombs, which is the representative for this area in District 2. Dear board members, I do not normally weigh in on setback variances. I yield to the expertise of the board. The property owner has told me that the shape of his parcel will not allow him to comply with the setback required by the contextual overlay in the area. If this is the case, then I am not opposed to the property owner having a smaller setback, and I yield to the board's expertise to determine what the appropriate setback is. I did have one resident reach out to me, Ms. Dolores Donegan. She just wants to make sure that the setback for the project is consistent with the rest of the neighborhood. She's going to try to be in attendance today so that she can speak.
Sir, do you have anything else to say before we close? You have some time left if you want to speak. Yeah, you don't have to. You're not required, but
I
feel
actually
free.
had some questions for him.
Okay, well,
so-
she's got.
okay.
Ms. Carpenter
I
has
can
some
answer.
Why don't
questions,
you
so-
go first, and then we'll
I was just going to say, I guess to clarify any points, that, yeah, as far as any stormwater, which you guys already addressed that, I would have to do like some type of stormwater modification. Usually, it's Miss Hayes, I think Kimberly Hayes, she makes me, well, not makes, but like she have to do like French drains and things like that, or rain gardens. So I'm sure that would be probably required here. So that's basically it.
Can you tell us about the trees? Will all the trees be removed?
Will all the trees be removed? More than likely, I'm not 100% certain. I would say most of it's brush, so definitely the brush would be gone. However, I do know there's like tree regulations and things that are in place. So I guess if there's like larger trees that are identified that they have to be preserved, or worked around. And I would also say the brush that's closest to Ashland City Highway, that would be cleared out, but we definitely do like planting along there to create like an actual like buffer, because that's effectively works as like the house's backyard. So like basically planting like new trees that would eventually grow and mature, and it kind of acts as buffer and screening, especially along Ashland City Highway for certain.
So I'm looking at Google Street View here. So would you contend that probably her ability to turn will actually be better because you're taking out some of the brush?
Actually,
that's
yeah, you will
blocking
be
her
able to see. So like
sight
going,
right now.
right. So like if you're
Okay.
going around the corner, coming off of I guess Ashland City, coming off of Heights Ferry or John Millette onto Ashland City, you would actually be able to see better because that brush right there, this lower picture down here, a lot of that brush should be cleared out. And then there would be some like paving going on because like the driveway is going to have to run that way because the side load garage is facing that little terminus right there. So actually their ability will be better, and I don't think that where the houses will be located, it doesn't affect their ability to turn off and on to that at all, one way or the other. It doesn't negatively impact that at all. So yeah, that's basically it.
Thank you.
That's all I've got.
just looking at the trees, looks like you've got a few hackberries in there.
Okay.
I think everybody on this board understands I'm not a hackberry fan because they tend to break off, fall in the road, crunch your cars and what have you. So are you going to replace some of the trees?
I know we would have to plant some new trees for certain. And I know, like, specifically, I mean, just regardless of what the city would make me do, is I know along Ashland City Highway for certain that we've definitely got to, like, plant some plants for screenage, you know, to, like, give them a, you know, it's a backyard. So yeah, there'll definitely be new trees planted. I don't know how many off the top of my head. I know there'll be, like, little landscaping and stuff done, too. So yeah.
I mean, I can understand the lady's concerned about being able to see around. I sometimes worry about some of the folks going along Ashland City Highway. I'm also familiar with that part of the world. And they go a little bit faster, and sometimes our reaction as we get a few years on us is not near as much as it was when we were your age.
Right.
So I understand her side of it, and I don't like hackberries. So you heard my two things, and you've satisfied my questions.
All right, we'll take it.
If there's anyone to bring up trees, it's him.
Someone had to do it. I mean, Ross sort of seeded that for me.
I could tell by the look in your eye, you were already on it, so. Okay, any further questions? Thank you very much. We appreciate it. And thank you very much for the site plan that shows actually what you could have built. That's so helpful for when we look at it, rather than, sometimes people come up here and try to describe it, and when you can see what you are actually only permitted to do versus what you're asking, that was really helpful. So thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, we'll close the public hearing and discuss.
Well, since this was originally on consent, and
Right.
I would contend it's very much a regular lot, and I think that the concerns the opposition brought were, I think, satisfied. I'm going to make a motion that we approve the variance request to, I'm going to say to 36 feet, since that's what is shown on his diagram. If somebody has an amendment to that, I'm willing to hear that.
I would recommend just 35, just
Okay.
give them a foot wiggle room.
No issue with that.
And it's not bringing it any closer than the other houses
Right.
are to the street.
Yeah, okay. Based on the regularities of the lot shape, I'll make a motion that we approve the variance at 35 feet.
I'll second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Okay, that motion passes. So, thank you for being here.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, we had healed a case, case 2022-19. I did indeed receive an email from counsel on that on Tuesday, and I apologize for missing that. He is requesting a deferral till the next meeting, March 17th.
Oh, so, and he sent that to you before the meeting?
Yes, sir, he sent it on
Okay,
Tuesday.
all
I
right,
missed it.
Do we need to vote on the deferral?
Not
He
at
gets that
all.
automatically.
We'll handle that.
Okay, all right.
We'll handle that on our own. So that, Mr. Chairman, looks like it wraps up our.
That's, are we voting today on?
Oh, yeah, we have to notice it on your agenda for the next hearing. So we'll make sure it's on March 17th's meeting.
Give David a chance to come back for the last couple of meetings.
I don't think you're going to get rescued, with all due respect, sir.
Well, okay, we'll be adjourned then.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information on this and other programs, visit nashville.gov